All right, we're back. Hopefully that fixed the spotty problem. If anyone is watching, they can let us know. If not, I will continue and there will be some editing. Okay, so back to the Peanut story. So Peanut is this, so Mr. Longo has this squirrel that he found on the side of the road with a broken tail. He nurses it back to health. He lives in his house for like 7 years, and he makes all of these TikTok and Instagram videos of the squirrel like running and jumping on him, and it's absolutely hilarious and cute. And he puts them in little cowboy hats and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, what happens is this person, Monica Kiesler in New York, or where was she from? Texas. Monica Kiesler from Texas decides that this is a wild animal and it shouldn't be in someone's house. So she calls the environmental protective people in New York and says, this guy has a wild squirrel in his house. What's going on? Thank you, Monica Kiesler. You're such a princess, or a something white Karen, which I will censor myself on what I would normally say. At any rate, so then what happens? The guy has a squirrel. The guy has a petting zoo that he's trying to teach kids about stuff. And who shows up but 10 armed Department of Environmental Services people from New York, and they spend hours in their house going through all of their stuff in their house, detaining Longo and his wife, and then they take the squirrel and the pet raccoon that they had because they didn't have a permit for a wild animal. Okay? Well, they had submitted everything for the permitting of having these, quote, wild animals that they had tamed in their house. And of course, that never went through. So instead of just saying, hey, this guy's actually done everything he's supposed to do, why don't we just approve this permit? No, they go and basically beat his door down with an armed SWAT team. They take the squirrel, they take the raccoon, and they kill them. Why? Because the squirrel apparently bit somebody during the investigation. Okay, well, why is that a problem? Well, because the squirrel might have rabies. That would be true, except squirrels don't carry rabies. So these freaking morons killed this guy's pet that earned him money through TikTok and Instagram videos because it might be rabid, when squirrels are not a known vector of rabies. The only known vectors of rabies in the United States are skunks and bats. It wasn't a skunk. It wasn't a bat. It was a tree rat that likes to eat nuts. And so then what happens? Okay. So they murder the squirrel. They murder the raccoon, right? What happens next is unbelievable. The response. So here you go. This one will blow your mind. Jen Rubin, who is a writer, I believe, for the Washington Post, a columnist, writes, the MAGA squirrel deserved to die, which that tweet lasted probably 20 seconds, and she realized she was an idiot, and she removed that tweet. But guess what? Everything on the internet is forever. The MAGA squirrel deserved to die. Not funny. And then what happens? Trump does this. He releases an entire press release. There have been, blah, blah, blah about New York State. And Mark Luongo and his wife has taken into custody for hours while they searched, and then they killed the squirrel, et cetera, et cetera. Very sad. Very sad. Complete waste of resources.
I like that. If Peanut could have told them he was from Mexico, they would have let him be on his way and given him a $500 gift card to Buddy Squirrel.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
No, so Trump totally trolls this.
It's true, though.
It's true. Very sad, complete waste of resources. When will we get our priorities straight? MAGA, go out and vote. I think what you need to do.
So they're all over this.
Is you need to stand up for Peanut. His life was not in vain. Thank you.
So they're all over a freaking squirrel situation, but all these illegal immigrants, all these crimes that are happening.
Yes.
No, I don't got time for that. So that pisses me off.
Well, I honestly think it had an effect on the election. I mean, when you look at all the shit that's gone on, like the 2 assassination attempts, and then the garbage man thing that we did last week. That was unbelievable. I mean,
and then this, priorities.
They freaking murdered. They swatted this guy and murdered his fucking squirrel. Like, how does that work in any rational world?
Right. And so, I mean, I don't know. Could they be swooping and taking your kid's Komodo dragon?
Yes.
Because the neighbor doesn't like the fact that, that looks like there's an iguana in your house, so let's just take it and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
SWAT team in.
Yes.
I mean, give me a break.
Yes. Well, Tim Pool, who is a wildly successful podcaster.
And then just kill it without even doing the due diligence. Like, what kind of morons don't even know that the squirrels are free from rabies? I mean,
the people that are
us lowly physicians in a rural area are on the site to look up where the rabies is in the country and what carries it. I mean, you can figure that out. Apparently,
the idiots that are supposed to know exactly all the environmental stuff are the morons that didn't actually go, you know what, it's low risk. Yeah, but it's a squirrel. Who gives a shit? Let's cut its head off.
But somebody got bit. Oh.
Well, yeah, you're effing with this guy's pet squirrel. I'd bite you too.
I'm
You're
sure.
Gonna cut my head off.
Our 4-year-old toddler would probably bite you.
Oh, like you've never been bitten at work by children or attempted. I mean, it's like, come on, man. You know, this is the exact. Like, it couldn't be more hilariously perfect as a metaphor for the overreach of government. It's like they're not deporting people. They're giving people $500 gift cards, but they're kicking down doors with SWAT teams of 10 guys because some unbelievably kind-hearted guy who's massively yoked and conservative with actually normal testosterone levels, not the levels of Tim Walz, which is God knows
Gotta save
what
the
that
squirrel.
is.
Oh, no, not save the squirrel.
Yeah, and it's like, well, we got to, the raccoon. Like, it's so crazy, and this is
they're
why
all about killing things, killing humans too.
No, it's the death cult, right?
Killing humans,
killing. That's right.
I'm gonna say it. Sorry.
No, it's true.
Not
it's the
sorry.
party of death. It's like, what do? We sacrifice children for convenience, and then once they're born, we fuck them up with vaccines and tell them to cut their dicks off. Sorry, I'm losing it a little bit. I should probably temper my speech, but I'm not going to temper my speech. I'm really tired. I stayed up till 3 last night, which was totally worth it. But it's completely nuts. It's exactly what Trump said. Get your priorities straight.
Exactly.
I mean, not Oliver Stone. What's his name? Trump's advisor there, Roger Stone. 70-some-year-old man. His wife's the same age. They came in. They came in with SWAT teams to arrest him for some weird, which he was eventually pardoned for. And when the CNN video trucks showed up before the SWAT team for a SWAT raid on Roger Stone's house.
I wonder how that happened.
You wonder how that happened. So now they get their asses kicked in the election, and they're coming out. It's like, well, we just want a peaceful transition of power, and we want to. Oh, okay, that's what you want now. So now it's ass kissing session, right? Because Now you're scared absolutely shitless that what you've done to him will be done to you. And you know what? It's not going to happen.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is Trump is so legacy driven now because he's almost 80 years old.
Take the high road.
Take the high road. It's all going to be about, Kennedy doing the Maha thing and Trump doing the energy and the tariffs, and the greatest word in the English language is tariff. All of that. It's an economic agenda. He's an economic guy. That's what's going to happen. That's why the stock market went up like almost 3.5% today, because they're, holy crap, energy is going to get cheap.
Maybe the economy will get better.
Well, maybe it will. And maybe you'll be able to afford a dozen eggs without donating a testicle.
Right.
All right, before we get to the next story.
What's next?
The next story is in this section.
Weird ways to die?
Yes. Yeah, this one is
sounds like a Debbie Downer.
Yes. But it has a happy ending. It has a happy ending. Upside down for 7 hours. So this woman in Australia was hiking where there was these gigantic boulders, and she dropped her phone between two boulders. And then she kind of dove between the boulders to get her phone out, and she got stuck upside down for 7 hours. And so the thinking was, if you're upside down for really any prolonged length of time, you're just going to die.
Man, I've done a headstand for, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes and felt like I was going to die. Like my head was going to explode from all the, I have low blood pressure as it is. And I felt like my head was going to turn into an exploding pumpkin.
Yeah. So basically what ends up happening is you get this unbelievable high pressure in your head, which is bad because you can stroke out or, blow an aneurysm or something. And you have lower blood pressure everywhere else. So your heart is working super hard to try to pump blood to your extremities
that are above your head.
And meanwhile, your head is trying to blow up.
And your head can't pump blood back like your muscles in your limbs do.
What is your second heart? It's your legs. So when you're walking around, your legs are legitimately a second heart. There's way more muscle in your legs.
Your limbs, your arms and legs.
Yeah, but it's from obviously lower extremities, it's your legs.
You're moving the blood back up through the veins. Now, how are you going to do that with, I don't know, start chewing really rapidly with your lips?
So these guys were
talking.
These guys were like all freaked out because there's like no way she could survive. Wow. So they get there. It takes them an hour to move the rocks or whatever.
Wow.
They flip her over and she's perfectly fine.
What?
Perfectly fine. Upside down for 7 hours.
So did she Valsalva? What did she do?
I think she was really fit, and I think she was fairly young.
Wow.
I don't think she was, a 72-year-old brittle diabetic with hypertension.
That's unusual.
No, it was really crazy. Like it's such an unusual case because the kind of normal science would be this is going to completely kill somebody, right? And so it's kind of like that case out of Regina, Saskatchewan, where that kid, this has got to be 35-year-old case. Kid walked outside. It's 25 or 30 below zero outside. Really, really cold. It had snowed. Kid stumbled. The kid is like 1.5 or 2 years old. Stumbles in the snow. It's snowing. The snow covers the child. They can't find the kid. And eventually the parents are freaking out and they dig this child out of the snow. And there are Walt Disney levels of cryotherapy, right? Like absolutely. And so they take the child to the teaching hospital and they're like, what are we going to do with this kid? And they said, well, we don't know because no one has ever had. The core temperature of this child was like in the 50s, I think, Fahrenheit, like unbelievably low. And so they said, well, you have to warm them up slowly. The only way we're going to do that is with the heart and lung bypass machine. So they put the child on ECMO, the heart-lung bypass machine, and the attending intensivist just said, we're going to go this many degrees an hour. And they picked a really slow thing and they said, you know what? You're not dead till you're warm and dead. And they resuscitated that kid. And he was normal. It's a normal kid.
I remember that.
Just unreal. That was real. Like they basically
cold water drowning or in a pump.
Yeah, the cold water drowning stuff.
I thought it was through a lake. No,
not this one. This is the cold. This is the coldest the person has ever been and survived. I should look up the actual details. I didn't know we were going to talk about it, but it's absolutely fascinating because this child, in the old days, if that happened in the 50s or 60s, it'd be just like your dad. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought him out.
But that's completely different physiology going on than upside down in your head.
No, it is. Blood. But the reason I bring that example is because it's examples of, we think this would happen if you had this event, and it's completely different than what the expectation was. Mm-hmm. So the expectation was, if you're upside down for 7 hours, you're freaking dead. Like you're just pulling a body out of these rocks. And it's just like,
you'd start to think that the blood would pool, clot, whatever.
I can't even imagine. I mean, it's just, and it's Australia. She's probably like, oh, yeah, fuck, I can't get me out of this. I'm sure
maybe she was yelling so much that it just pumped blood out.
Maybe. From being an Australian, she was yelling swear words loud enough that it actually saved her.
She's in Australia. She's on the
swearing
lower hemisphere. Maybe
she was upside down anyways.
That's right. So she was side up.
Yes.
And you know how the toilet bowl goes in reverse in Australia?
Yes.
Maybe it's the same kind of phenomenon.
I come from a land down under.
Maybe if they all just stood on their heads, they would be normal like that.
I'm upside down and it hurts like thunder. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it actually was. She was down under, upside down, which made her right side up.
Just like in the upside down world.
That's right.
When's that show coming back, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you all know what we're talking about?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is a great show, but it's in the upside down. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. No, we're getting silly. We're getting really silly now.
It's not the upside down. It's the, I can't remember what it's called.
If it's not the upside down. If you all know, shout it out on the comments. It's not the underworld. I think it is the upside down. Can't look it up right now on my computer. It's in the shop. All right. What else you got for us? Those cats on there. Just great. Meme of the week.
Comes.
Oh boy, I can only imagine what you got.
Soon
I know what it is.
Efficiency czar of the United States of America, Saint Elon Musk.
Oh, wasn't it El Gallo motto?
No, the bad cat is the absolute king of memes, but this one comes from
Saint Elon. And let's see it.
Okay, here we go. It is. I have to describe this because it's so wonderfully done. It's a squirrel
in a diaper.
It's a squirrel in a Obi-Wan Kenobi costume, and it says, "If you strike me down, I will come back more powerful than you can possibly imagine." Obi Peanut Kenobi.
He's a cute little guy.
Oh man, it's just genius.
With his
Obi Peanut
lightsaber
so
reflecting
great.
Into his eyes.
Yeah, it's so unbelievably great.
Huggies or Pampers pull-ups on.
And I think that happened. I mean, I think that there was people that saw the peanut thing and they either voted when they weren't going to, they changed their vote, or they just didn't vote at all.
Well, that narrows it down to like
no, but it makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference in an election. Like if you're like, I'm going to vote for Harris, and then you see something that pisses you off, and you're like, screw it, I'm not going to vote at all. That's essentially half a vote for Trump, right? And if you're like, I wasn't going to vote because I live in X, Y, and Z state that is, super red, so I think Trump's going to win, so I don't need to vote. And then you see this, and you're like, you get pissed, and you go and vote. And then you win the popular vote. And that's the thing that's really crazy about U.S. elections. The popular vote technically doesn't matter at all as far as who becomes president. But from a mandate and a psychological perspective, it's very big. And for Trump to have gotten almost 4% more in the popular vote is an absolute wipeout territory. Like that is a completely insane number. Most of the pundits that were picking him to win the Electoral College assumed that he would win the Electoral College and lose the popular vote.
Right.
Because that was, that's the conventional thinking. Because you don't, and again, and the popular vote, because it doesn't matter, is kind of BS, because you don't go to California and do gigantic rallies, because you're not going to win California. And it's a, enormous state, almost 40 million people. You're not going to, Washington and Oregon and all these places that you're going to lose, which you would do. If it was popular vote only, you would spend so much time in Texas, Florida, and California, it wouldn't even be funny,
right?
Because that's where the concentration of population is. That's not how it works, right? And so to win the popular vote at all, when you have the West Coast that is so deeply blue, is that's a really big deal. And, this ended up being a political show, but guess what? It was an election yesterday, so it should be a political show. That's what I think. And I got
and I didn't even put the brakes on you.
No, I know. It's amazing because I kind of lost my mind with the, having to reload everything.
Really?
But it worked good. I think we know what the glitch was and we can fix it later.
Deep breath. All right.
What are we drinking?
I don't know. What are you?
I'm drinking Monkey in Paradise vodka with Red Bull because sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
Is for bitches.
Complaining about not getting enough sleep and it's Red Bull for you. Wow.
Well, I got to get through this.
You do.
I do.
That's the only way.
It's the only way. Last night was, that was rough. I didn't sleep very.
I went to bed and slept like a baby because I thought, nothing I can do about it. I'll wake up and find out what happened.
No,
see if it was a replay of the last time.
It was pretty crazy.
It wasn't.
It was basically normal. It was like we were back to 1996. It's like, okay, here's all right, we're done. See ya.
Imagine that.
And
it's time for some sanity in this election process, don't you think? Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like anticlimactic now, but I think a lot of people were.
I think everyone loves the anticlimax. I think, whether your side won or lost, at least it's freaking over. And I think that's a big deal. And I do respect the fact that Vice President Harris came out today and wanted to, commented on a peaceful transition of power. I think that's what we need to get back to. And it's super hard when you've called somebody a Nazi forever. And it's like, now we'll have a peaceful transition of power.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, yeah, we will. But you called me a Nazi for the last, however long. There's a point where it just is so dumb. It's hard to.
It's like you're being fake. Where are you being fake? Which side?
Everywhere.
Yeah,
you're fake everywhere. Yeah. You're absolutely fake. But at least you weren't Kamala's husband, who went to a campaign event.
No, don't even.
Okay.
Look that one. You can all look that one up. What Kamala's husband said.
She puts her head down, and you can figure out the rest.
Just look that one up.
Yes.
Guests of the week. Why don't you share?
Boy. Oh boy. Amy Kelly, who is the mastermind behind Naomi Wolf's Pfizer Papers project, where they took the 450,000 pages of Pfizer documentation for the original Pfizer COVID vaccine study and dissected it with 3,200 experts. And then they wrote a book called The Pfizer Papers, Pfizer's Crimes Against Humanity. And we interviewed her, and it is amazing.
Yeah, she talks a little bit about the process, how she got involved in doing that, the teams, how they started looking at this, and how what the FOIA documents are. And so she explains that to you in case you have been uninvolved or unaware of what those are. And then some of the findings, which is, I would say at this point, if you've been paying attention, no surprises. It's kind of what we see happening in the world around us.
The findings were not the findings were what we have been talking about in the medical freedom world forever. The part that really drives me crazy is the fact that the FDA was running cover
that everybody pushed it through and just said, "Oh, it looks great."
Like they didn't FOIA the documents from Pfizer. They FOIA'd the documents from the FDA.
So the FDA knew as well what
so the FDA
what Pfizer was trying to cover up.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
like that should make everybody's head explode. Like that should be literally Control Alt Delete no FDA. We are going to Control Alt Delete the FDA. We're going to fire every single person. We're going to burn the buildings to the ground, and we're going to start all over again.
Well, we've been talking about it on our show with guests for a long time. How there's, I mean, these people have double interest because they hold patents to drugs and medication.
No,
and
it's completely not
stock, and they have their own interests, financial gain in it, and they're all.
There's two laws. I mean, there's two laws. There's the Dole Bail Act, which allowed people that work for the government to hold patents on, drugs and whatnot. And then there's the vaccine law of 1986 that got rid of any liability for vaccine manufacturers. So if you have no liability, like if you can make a product and sell it and lie about it and never get sued, what do you think's going to happen? Like, it's not that complicated. And then in the first place, you went to Congress and you said, we need liability protection or else we can't make vaccines. Why? Because if they were super good and protected everybody, you shouldn't need liability protection because you'd never get sued because they're doing what they're supposed to do. No, you need liability protection because your product is a piece of shit. That's the only reason you need liability protection. It's common sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was a great interview where she really simplified things and explained what they've been finding, and they're still working on more documents as they're released because it's a slow process, including
Moderna,
the 12 to 15-year-old study, the children's data, as well as the Moderna.
So there's 450,000 pages of Pfizer.
That's the adult.
And there's probably
15 and over.
Yeah, that's the initial stuff for the 15 and older. In Moderna, there's I think you said over 4 million.
No, I don't think so. I think it's over 1 million.
Well, it's way over 1 million. No, it's multiple millions of pages. So just think about this. How do you produce in 7 months?
I don't think I've read 1 million pages in my lifetime in books.
No,
I don't know.
How do you produce in seven months? Okay, let's say a year. Okay, from the beginning of Operation Warp Speed to when the gene therapy vaccines were released in November of 2020.
Who's got time to read all that?
No, how do you even produce that data? It's not possible. It's not possible. That data was not produced in that period of time. It was all set to go. They had previous
she says that
studies.
some of it is documentation of like previous studies from years ago. That's
included
in there. Yes,
there has to be. There's no question.
Some of it is PDFs that are files of graphs, etc. I mean, but the majority of it is still
listen to it.
Documentation.
It'll blow your mind and piss you off.
And now her massive team is going through that bit by bit. So anyway,
I want the massive team to go through every single pharmaceutical agent for the last 50 years.
I said they will have a lifetime supply of information to go through.
No, I want them to go to the raw data, not the peer reviewed studies. I want them to go to the raw data on statins and SSRIs and all of these other drugs that have been wildly overprescribed.
It'll be fast because there isn't any.
Well, no, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. Let's go to the raw data on the childhood vaccine schedule and the fact that the hepatitis B shot was only monitored for 4 or 5 days after they gave it to a 1-day-old. Okay, you're 1 day old. How long do you have to get a side effect from a vaccination that you got at 1 day? I don't know, maybe 90 years. Maybe 5 days isn't long enough to actually determine if there's a problem because you might live for 90 years. Like, it's seriously, the problem is these people are so unredeemably corrupt that they're taking something that is unbelievably valuable and unbelievably important, which is allopathic medicine. I want hospitals that work well. I want drugs that cure my pneumonia. I want to be able to get a liver transplant after my 50,000th episode of Doc Tales. And when you completely corrupt the system, people leave it. And they divorce themselves from the system that actually is really good, but just so corrupted you can't do it. It's like saying 50% of marriages end in divorce, so I'll never get married. No. That's not the point. Marriage is amazing. Corrupted marriage is awful. It's not about marriage. It's about corruption.
Yeah.
It's not about big pharma or allopathic medicine or emergency rooms or hospital systems or insurance companies. It's about corrupted systems that are so corrupted that people are going to just divorce themselves completely from something that's actually necessary. And that totally pisses me off because that's dangerous. You want amazing orthopedic surgeons. You want amazing radiologists. You want great family doctors that look at you as an entire person, and therapists and psychiatrists that, that nurture your soul. But it's been so corrupted by these assholes that we throw the good out with the bad. And that's so dangerous. You end up, okay, so you solve the corruption and then you've destroyed the system by solving the corruption. You can't do that either.
Deep breath. Glad you solved the system.
No, I haven't solved the system. I've at least pointed out what the problem is, and that's it. Like that's literally it. Like,
no, I'm just poking fun at you.
I know.
All right, that's my job on this show.
All right, kids. We, I think, have expunged everything we can out of this show. We'll have to get it edited and spliced together for the audio version that comes out in a few days. And you know what? No politician saves us. The only spiritual savior, in our opinion, is Jesus. And the only one that's going to change your life and save you is you. So politics matters, but it doesn't matter as much as we think it does. But that said, I'm still gloating my ass off today. So with that, we shall leave you with a smile and a cocktail. Till next time, stay BS free.
Cheers and out.